And welcome into the Wednesday edition. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, brought to you by First Horizon, Big Bank Muscle, Small Bank Hustle. Visit firsthorizon.com/get it all. Live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about. Great service. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Wednesday morning. Joseph, good morning. How are you? What's going on?
Oh, a little tired, but well worth it as the Warriors go up 1-0 on Minnesota. However, a little worried about Steph.
Yeah, we think he's going to be okay?
Well, I mean, a hamstring. He's having an MRI today. Hamstring strain. What does that mean? Well, one thing it means is he will not play in the next game. I think they should just sit everybody. Just lose by 50, and then just take it back home. Take it back home. He won't do that, but. I mean, Jimmy Butler's out there looking like me too, a little bit when this old man, jogged down the floor. So, they're
walking
old,
wounded.
They're hanging on, man. It's a big win. That's a big win.
Big win on the road.
I don't know what Minnesota was doing other than throwing up bricks, but good win.
They could not shoot last night. There is no doubt about that. Ian, how we doing? What's going on?
I'm doing good, guys. Thanks. Can't complain about these playoffs so far. Both the hockey and the NBA have been pretty good.
Yeah, really have been. I mean, how about Halliburton that shot last night for the Pacers? Cleveland maybe in some trouble. They're down 0-2. Now they're going on the road.
I mean, I don't know how. I still don't understand how they blew that. I mean, the shot was, but like even to get to the point where there was a shot that mattered is insane. Can't even inbound the ball as an NBA team.
It's tough look.
Wild. Yeah, but it's the Athletic recently did a player survey, and he came in first for the most overrated player in the league. And so now the fans last night are chanting at him, overrated. He's like, please. And Donovan Mitchell's like, stop, everybody, stop.
Please be quiet.
And my goodness. Now, he's a heck of a player.
He is.
They're a very boring team. Like, I just don't, they're not, like, exciting. You wonder how they're good.
Right.
But they're good.
They are. And they're in great position now to win that series. Vegas, I thought, was going to blow Edmonton out of the building last night. They got up 2-0. And then Edmonton just does what they did basically last series, which is storm back, and they win 4-2. So they go on the road and take game one from the Vegas Golden Knights. And Carolina wins 2-1 in overtime. Jake Slavin, the game-winning goal in overtime last night for the Hurricanes. Carolina outshooting them. And remember, this game went to overtime. Carolina outshooting Washington last night 33-14. 14 shots on goal for Washington last night. That's what Carolina does, but man.
But that's insane in an overtime game.
Yeah. It's pretty wild. So another great night of the playoffs and the series in the second round that I'm looking forward to the most getting underway tonight, and that's the Dallas Stars and the Winnipeg Jets. So we'll see how that goes for two Central Division teams around here. Joe, we got some breaking news in the NFL to get to that's happening this morning. We never get news in the morning, but we're getting some today. According to Adam Schefter, George Pickens is about to be traded from the Pittsburgh Steelers to the Dallas Cowboys. Schefter putting it out there that the Cowboys and Steelers working to finalize a trade that sends Pickens to Dallas in exchange for draft pick compensation. The details of what exactly that draft pick compensation is have not yet been put out there, but whatever draft pick compensation is on the table, it looks like it's about to be finalized between Pittsburgh and Dallas, and the Cowboys about to acquire George Pickens. What do you make of that?
Well, there was a lot of talk about it, and I figured, okay, well, they're going to hold on to him and sign Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers will at least have, some, even if they may get into conflicts right away, a talented receiver. But obviously Pickens is a headache, has been a headache there. It's like, how do you weigh the talent, the playmaking versus the inconsistency and all the extra antics? So, I mean, it's a good talent ad for the Cowboys. They're already kind of a circus sideshow anyway, I guess. So why not? Pittsburgh, though, I mean, if I'm Aaron Rodgers, am I more excited to sign with Pittsburgh now that they don't have him?
Probably not. I mean, whatever headache he was there. I mean, first off, Rodgers hasn't been a part of that, so he doesn't know the inner workings of how much of a headache George Pickens is. I'm sure that's come up in conversation there, but we all know how talented he is. He's a really good player. So now you're looking at the receiving core. At least you have Metcalf, so you do have DK Metcalf throw the ball to. But that combination, I think, would have been what made that even more intriguing if you're Rodgers here. So we'll see how that affects that and what that means. But I would imagine that this has probably been something that's been in the works for a while and does not take Aaron Rodgers by surprise, would be my guess.
Yeah, and that's probably true. Is he signing there, by the way? Does he care?
Don't know. I guess we'll see it at some point. It seems like the people still believe that he is. So we'll see.
Yeah, they've proceeded as if he is. I mean, I guess I don't know. I guess it just matters that he's there for their off-season stuff.
Yeah.
I guess that matters.
I guess you would think that would be important coming into a new team,
Yeah.
but we'll see.
And you would think that Mike Tomlin wouldn't, like the idea of a quarterback just sort of living on his own schedule like Aaron Rodgers has been lately.
Yeah, this is a very Cowboys move, right? Like, first off, you had Jerry Jones getting up there a few weeks ago. We're working on some trades. We got some trades that we're working on, and I guess this is one of them. So you mark one off the list. But this does feel like a very Cowboys move, bringing in a guy that, by most accounts in Pittsburgh, has been difficult to deal with, and we'll see how that goes in Dallas. Typically that's a place where it's just a powder keg down there, man. You're just waiting on something to go wrong and things to go crazy. So welcome in George Pickens there.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you've got the veteran quarterback.
Got CD Lamb.
Yeah, you got. I mean, like if sometimes a change of scenery can be a jolt for someone.
Yeah.
And it's got to be a little bit disappointing for him to be like, man, I played this well, and they just couldn't wait to unload me for like draft picks TBD. Maybe.
Third rounder,
third rounder,
and then the late round pick swap of some sort.
Okay,
there you go.
That's a little bit of a
not really
maybe a wake
either.
up call. Maybe a wake up call. Maybe go down there and I mean he's one heck of a player. Pickens and Lamb. If you're Dak, you got to love what that could be.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, they move on from McCarthy, and now you're trying to get back in a spot where your own division, where you're relevant again, right? Like, I mean, they had the NFC title game last year was in their division. It was Philadelphia and Washington. So that's what you're dealing with if you're the Cowboys. You're paying Dak a ton of money now with his new deal. So you got to find a way to get back in there. Like, frankly, with the Cowboys, it's gotten to the point where I ask, okay, what will go wrong at some point? Because that's what eventually happens with that franchise in recent memory. But, I mean, on paper, him throwing the ball to CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens is a pretty darn good combo out there. So, I mean, you would expect Dak anyway to have a pretty good year out there if they can stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine more Cowboys fans are excited about this than Steelers fans because, again, if you're a Steelers fan, it's like, okay, look, I understand this guy. You could act out sometimes, and he was very unpredictable. But man, that's a lot of talent that you're shipping out, and it's just like, how are you excited about this season to come when you again, even if you are sure that Aaron Rodgers is coming in? I mean, Metcalf's getting a little older. It's just, I mean, it's not like they're a great defensive team anymore. I mean, the Cowboys, to your point, they're in an uphill climb in their own division, but I still think that they could realistically aspire to be a wild card team. I'm not sure the Steelers can in the AFC.
Well, how annoying was George Pickens? Because, I mean, think about Pittsburgh and Mike Tomlin specifically, and like some players that they've had go in there that they've dealt with for long periods of time. Like, hey, Antonio Brown was good there for a long time, and then he absolutely fell apart and went crazy. And then the Le'Veon Bell thing that they went through there, like they've had, obviously those are two different situations, but they've had some episodes off the field there that they've kind of dealt with and managed. And very quickly into George Pickens' career, they're like, yeah, okay, let's get this guy out.
Yeah, it does seem like, I mean, with Antonio Brown, it seemed like, I mean, there really wasn't much of that for a lot of, or at least it wasn't known to the outside. It was like that one day where he decided to just like record
everything in the locker room
game and put it on the internet. It was like, what's up with this dude? And then all of a sudden he's ripping his shirt off and just walking off the field. I was like, oh, gee, I feel like it totally just melted down for him late as opposed to like a constant source of, it just seems like, I mean, from some of the reporting around Pickens, at times not prepared, obviously emotional and stuff and getting in fights with people, things like that, but also like not always doing the stuff you're supposed to do. And that's like, especially you bring in Aaron Rodgers, like, that's not going to fly.
Maybe
right?
maybe this is what Rodgers is waiting on. It's like, I'm not signing until you get this guy out of
It
here.
could be. It could be. But, I mean, I also – like if you're Aaron Rodgers, don't you – I don't know. I guess at his age, it's like, you know what, just give me people who I know are pros as opposed to, trying to work with a young kid and make him see the light. Nah, that's okay.
Just get him out.
Just
I'll
get him
sign.
out of there, then I'll come in. Maybe.
If he signs
Could be.
today, it would be pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm good. Pickens is out of there. I'll come sign now.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Let's go.
615-737-1025. Our phone number. Some news in the NFL. George Pickens to the Dallas Cowboys via trade. A third-round pick and a day 3 pick heading back, or a day 3 pick swap with the Cowboys and the Steelers. So the big carrot there for the Steelers is the third-round pick. So we'll see how that goes for the Cowboys and what that means for Dak Prescott now having George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb in the fold down there in Dallas. Coming up next, we'll get back into a little bit of our Preds conversation from yesterday. Joe's got a question to throw out there that, frankly, might have a depressing answer for Predators fans. We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Nashville's best deal of the week, celebrating National Barbecue Month. Get $50 gift card to Central Barbecue in Capitol View for half off right now. You can try their new barbecue sampler, ribs, wings, and barbecue sliders. Go to thegamenashville.com/deals while supplies last. Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We had a lot of response to basically our State of the Preds fan yesterday after the retention of Andrew Brunette and the draft lottery going as poorly as it possibly could have gone for the Predators as it relates to their possibilities on the table yesterday. Joe, appreciate the participation from everybody yesterday. And you've got a question you want to follow up with for Predators fans today that, frankly, I've been thinking about since I've known you're asking it. I think it's difficult to answer.
Yeah, basically, like, who's the player in this organization? And again, a year ago on this, I would have said Yaroslav Askarov with the idea that eventually he's going to, take over and you're going to, have the young goalie sort of change eras. But what player in this organization right now at any level offers you the most hope as a Preds fan? Who are you most excited about? Because they've had, you mentioned like Kemmel. Yes, I feel like a couple of years ago it was like, oh man, watch. And again, I think Kemmel's going to be good. I think he's going to be a Pred. He's going to play for the Preds. He's going to end up being like a good pick. But maybe it's leveled off a little bit in terms of what you feel like the ceiling is, or the rate of progress. There are younger guys, of course, in the organization. I mean, I think like obviously Tanner Molendyk is an exciting young defenseman, but it seems like usually there has been at least one or two prospects in the organization that at a given time you feel like that could be a really high ceiling. And right now, it just doesn't. To me, it doesn't seem that way. But I just would be interested in what people would answer there.
Yeah, I think it's a really good question. And, I think if you wanted to, you can make a case for Molendyk. Like, I think they're really excited about him and the way that he's played in junior hockey. And I think that there's a chance he makes the team next year. Like, Barry Trotz was talking about him the other day and said that he's basically legitimately challenged for a spot the last 2 years in camp, which I can tell you, like, Andrew Brunette, I think, was really considering keeping him a couple years ago in camp. So I think that kind of shows you the camp that he's had and the impact that he's left. So I think he's got a good chance to make the team this year, and he can end up being a good player. Now, he's interesting because, like, Scott Wheeler from The Athletic and all these draft prospect gurus that are around the NHL, like, they look at the Predators farm system and they say, oh, yeah, it's good, but there's not really any great players in there, right? Like, that's basically their consensus. Like, Matthew Wood, what's he going to be at the NHL level? For a guy jumping from college to the NHL in the last part of the season, I thought he handled himself pretty well. Now, I also recognize that there's a difference between playing an 82-game NHL season and getting a bump coming up from college and playing like 6 games. So we'll see if he's a factor. He's probably going to be better served going to Milwaukee this year and starting there and then seeing where they go. But, like, I look at it right now, and I think the answer is probably going to be whoever they draft here in the next few weeks is going to vault to the top of this list. But I think that's kind of the point, right? Like, you're looking on the current roster. It's hard to get excited about anybody on the current roster just because of the way the season just went. And those guys are a year older of who I think you would be excited about. So what does that mean? And I'm looking at the prospects, and I think I alluded this a little bit yesterday. I think they have a lot of good prospects. Yeah. I'm not sure that they've got any great prospects, which is an interesting spot to be in for them.
Yeah, and again, like Evangelista, look, I mean, Evangelista, I know it was like with most people on this roster, it was a rough season, ups and downs, probably, not what you were hoping for coming off the previous season. And you go back to him when he's in Milwaukee, right? I mean, I just feel like there was a little bit higher hope for him at that point than what we've so far seen materialize. Doesn't mean, again, people can get better. People can get better at the highest level in the highest league in any sport. That's possible. But I'm with you. It just seems like they've got a lot of guys who are, pretty good, but they haven't produced through their. I mean, who's the last like star? I mean, especially like homegrown star that they've produced. I mean, Roman Josi for sure.
I mean,
Forsberg technically is
basically homegrown.
but yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine. I mean, that's fine. It was a trade, but he went through, or then you could go with that.
But if you're talking star, I mean, depends on how you view it. Like UC Saros was a star for a while. Now, a little bit worried about him at the moment. We'll see how that goes here. But I mean, you're talking about, I think he was what, a 4th rounder that they had. So, like, I mean, I would probably classify that like he's a guy that I would put in there.
Arvidsson is a guy who, well, I think got to, I don't know if he was quite a star, but that's a big success story
For sure.
Also
Yeah.
a 4th rounder, I think, right?
Yeah.
Who,
so,
by the way, is all over the ice last night.
He seems to fall down a lot.
Well, yeah.
Seems to fall down a lot out there. There's somebody that tweeted last week. They're like, Predators fans, and then he's also been in LA and somewhere else. He's like, does Arvidsson fall down this much all the time? He's like, yeah, he does. he has trouble staying on his feet. But yeah, to your point, we had the conversation yesterday about the first rounders, like the last first rounder the Predators took that's made like a big impact in the league. It's probably Fiala. Like Fiala has been really good in Minnesota and LA, and he showed flashes of it here, and then they traded him. And we talked about that, knowing he was probably going to be pretty good at the time. Like they need somebody to hit to be like a really good player. Kimmel, it feels like he's been in Milwaukee forever. He's 21 still, so he's still a young kid. But like we're reaching the point with him where he's played, like 140 games in Milwaukee. Like it's time for him to come on and go. Like it's time to start to see that at the next level.
Yeah, and again, I don't really look at this like a developmental thing. I look at it more of a choice thing. But it feels like he leveled off, and obviously Tomasino is a disappointment as a first-round pick. Tolvanen, those guys just aren't. Those guys just weren't, I think, what they thought they were. I don't. As you said yesterday, yes, they've had more success going elsewhere, but not like tremendous success. They aren't as good as they hoped they were.
Right. Like
and that'll continue through their careers.
People still freak out about them losing Eeli Tolvanen. And I think a lot of it is because of they lost Eeli Tolvanen for nothing.
Yes.
So that part of it, I understand. But I think sometimes like the way that people talk about him, I'm like, all right, are we talking about Eeli Tolvanen or are we talking about Connor McDavid? Like, which one are we talking about here? Because like he's gone on to have he's carved out a good role for himself. Like he is a good third line player, and he plays on the power play. He's a good third line player, and I'm not saying you can't use that. Like,
sure.
If Tolvanen this year had 23 goals and 35 points, which is fine. It's not like blowing the door off of anything, but it's fine. Like, could the Predators have used him this year? Sure, of course they could have. But like, that's not irreplaceable player, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Right. And again, you go back to not that long ago, especially, we talk about Yossi, but also Ekholm and Ellis, right? Like you grew and you were able to trade away Seth Jones. So, I mean, like that you were at least churning out tremendous players on the blue line, for a while. And that is even, and again, some of it is trading guys away when you're in your window and all that stuff. But it's kind of depressing, frankly.
It is. Like they need some of their draft picks to turn into legitimate building block type players. And do they have anybody that can be that? I don't know. I mean, maybe Molendyk. Molendyk, I like a lot about Molendyk. I think he can skate really, really well. I think he's probably got a lot of growing to do just in terms of strength and playing the game at the NHL level. But like, I think he's got a chance to be a good player. So like, it's not like they're devoid of talent in their prospect pool, but do they have anybody that is like a franchise pillar that's coming up? That's what you have to determine. And frankly, that's what you're getting out of the top 5 pick you're about to get.
You have to. I mean, you absolutely have to. Logan says, "Don't worry, guys. We got Cole Smith. Cole Smith just takes.
Cole Smith
strays.
is taking it this week on the text line.
What has he done? And I thought we had this Cole Smith, anger a couple years ago, but like, I thought we'd kind of gotten past that. Apparently not.
He's look. I understand some of the frustration because Cole Smith doesn't produce a lot of points, but he's a fine 4th line player. That's what he is.
Yeah, there's a lot of. I mean, you put a lot of other people in there, and like he plays his role.
He's
Like, what do
getting
you think he's supposed
annihilated
to
on the text line this week. It's very interesting.
be? Yeah. Is it just Logan, or how many different people are
Oh,
independent?
it's been more than Logan.
Independently
Yeah,
attacking Cole Smith
There
this
have been
week.
probably 4 or 5 people that have independently attacked Cole Smith.
Did he have a weird TikTok or something
I don't think so.
recently? Like, what happened?
615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. What is the player in the Preds organization that offers you the most hope moving forward? A more difficult question to answer than I thought. We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025-1063, the game.
Barry, just want to get a quick thought about Luke Evangelista. He's one of your key free agents this summer. Just a few other small guys as well, but wanted to get your thoughts on where you may stand with him. He mentioned how there's no rush to get a deal done. He's got the entire summer, basically. So just wanted your thoughts on him.
If it was up to me, I'd have the deal done right now. I've talked to his agent, and his agent, we're started the discussions. Obviously, Luke is one of the guys that we're going to have to get signed. Full intention to get him signed sooner rather than later. I'm just looking at my list of guys here. Obviously, Luke is a key young guy that we want to get signed. The other guys that we re-signed, Murray and Corona, Hader in the net on defense. Obviously, Jeremy Lazon is a guy that he's coming back from basically missing a whole year. It's real key for us. I think we missed Losey just as we missed Yost. I mean, those are two identity pieces that we missed for a long time. We'll see where we stand with him as he gets back this year. But we're already talking a little bit with his agent. Obviously, the agents at the same time are trying to get a feel for the market, so they're slowing things down a little bit at times. For the most part, we've got a couple of decisions on our drafts, but really don't have a lot on our plate. It's going to be Luke and a couple of we'll say younger or non-established guys.
That's Barry Trotz on Luke Evangelista, and then a myriad of other players.
Verbose, Verberry.
Evangelista, 32 points last year. 68 games for Evangelista. So, the year before, he had 16 goals, 39 points at 80 games, and looked like he had really figured it out at the end of the year. And then basically, like everybody else on the team, struggled this year. So we'll see what that means for him moving forward. Like, I still think he's got a chance to be a good player. Now, is Luke Evangelista going to be like a top-line winger for you? Probably not. But I still think he's got a chance to be a good player. I think it's a really important offseason for him. Like, he needs to come in and, there's so many things that are going to be part of the story of whether or not they rebound next year and get back to being a team that's competitive. We've talked about the goalie and obviously Stamkos and Marchessault and Forsberg and all those guys. He's a big part of it too. Like, they need him to come in next year and be a factor for them offensively. And he had a couple of nice games at the end of the year, but by and large was way too invisible out there this year. So,
yep, I'm seeing already. Evangelista, next Tomasino, next Olvinen, trade him. Won't be on this team after this year. Too small. I don't know. I'm a little more optimistic than all of that. But it kind of goes along with what we've been talking about, which is, man, is someone going to, take that big leap and be like, oh, that's a dude.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
It has been a while. Let's head to our 1025 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Ryan in Mount Juliet. Ryan, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Morning, guys. The two players I see the best outfit for the Preds that are currently on the roster signed, I want to say it would be Willsby and Svechkov. I think Svechkov has the ability to be the second-line center, a homegrown second-line center that needs, and I see Willsby has the ability to be a top-four defenseman. I'm not saying top-line defenseman, but second-pair defenseman, kind of like Ekholm, but a little bit more offensive side to him.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Ryan. I do say, like, one of the really unfortunate parts of what was a long, drawn-out, unfortunate year for them was Willsby getting hurt, because I think he could have had a lot of valuable minutes down the stretch. I like him. I think he's got a chance to be pretty good. And, it was interesting. We brought up Marchessault a lot. He said a lot at his end of season press conference, and he got to talking about all the young guys. And then he brought up Willsby by name. He's like, that guy's an NHL player. Like, that guy is good. And I'm interested to see what role he's got next year. I think he's got a chance to be good.
Yeah.
Now, is he going to be Roman Josi? That's a heck of a bar.
And Svechkov, I agree. There are players. There are some good young players who can be good players. And
which you need.
You need those.
Yeah.
You absolutely need. You need depth on your team. You need quality throughout the lineup. So that's important.
Do they have any stars?
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Really going to drive the play.
Because
who is that?
Barry Trotz,
who they draft.
He keeps talking about threading the needle, right? Like he talks about the young guys that they've got coming up and trying to thread that needle of waiting on those young guys to be ready while also remaining competitive with the current group. And obviously they failed miserably at that this year. Could they be any better at it next year? We'll see. But like, I think part of that is going to have to be some young guys coming in and playing really well
And
for them.
overperforming.
Yeah, and playing like being more ready quicker than they thought. Like that's going to have to be probably part of this. If they're going to get to where they want to get to and being competitive, and do they have anybody that can do that? That's really kind of the genesis of this question.
You know, what would help is if some of these old guys who have been great players play more like great players.
That would also help.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
probably help those young guys
like
look better.
Svechkov is interesting. Like Svechkov, you know, he's got some good speed to him, particularly for his size. He's a guy that every now and then he'll flash a play where it's like, man, that's a pretty highly skilled play that he had there. Now, you get to the end of it, and he played 52 games for the Predators, and he had 17 points. He had 8 goals, 9 assists, which, by the way, like Barry Trotz has talked about this. He probably wasn't ready to play in the NHL, and then he just did, like he had to. And I think he equipped himself nicely. And I do think he's got a chance to turn into like a nice middle six type of center, second line, third line, somewhere in that area. But again, like, is he going to be a top line guy? I kind of have my doubts about that, which is not a bad thing. Like, they need these players.
Yeah.
Like, they need good players, but they also need a couple of guys to come in and be great players. And I'm wondering where those guys are.
Yeah, because this year it's still, they're threading the needle, but I mean, this next year is still 100% about, your high paid top players turning it around and being great. I mean, you need the support. You need some pleasant young player surprises. It's down the road where, right now there's a big drop off between the highest level of these older guys and what we can see of the young guys. There's a big drop off. It's not like, if that's the core of your team, you don't have a good team.
Right. Exactly. So how quickly can that change? And then, a guy that we've not seen play in North America yet is David Edstrom, who they got last year as a part of that Askarov trade. So we'll see on him. Like, I think he's coming over, and I imagine he'll probably be in Milwaukee next year for the full year, and we'll see what that looks like. Maybe he's got a chance to make the team out of camp. I don't know, but like, it would also be nice. Like, you moved on from Askarov, and we'll see what he ends up being in San Jose. But like, frankly, like, I look at San Jose and you could see what they're building, right? Like, they've got Celebrini, they've got Smith. They're in desperate need of like one of those stud defensemen, which they don't have at the moment, which they're probably now not going to get with the draft lottery falling the way that it did. But they've got a building block where you could see in 5 years, they could be pretty darn good, right? Like the Predators, what are they in 5 years? I don't know.
This
I
pick
don't
that
know
they're
what-
about to make better be a huge part of whatever they are.
Yeah, I agree. Like, you need him to hit, and is their prospect pool good enough where in the next 2 or 3 years they can drive your team? Because that's Barry Trotz has said that's what he's waiting on, is for them to be the players that are driving the team. Well, can they do that? If not, you're up a creek at that point.
Yeah, but there's going to have to be some developments from right now that are like, oh, okay. And I just feel like they've had way too many. I don't just feel like, I think it's true that they've just had too many in the last several years that are just like underwhelming. They need something that's overwhelming.
Well, we've gotten this question a lot the last couple of days on the text line. Like, when are the last draft picks that have made huge impacts for them? Like, not just, oh, he had a nice couple of weeks, or, oh, he had a nice half a season for the Predators and then they moved on. Like, had big, significant impacts for this team. When's the last time that happened? Saros? Like, I mean, that's those type of guys.
Fiala was coming into his own, then he gets hurt during the Cup run.
Yeah.
It was good the next year, President's Trophy team.
Yeah. But it's been a while. Like, that's a long time ago at this point. And again, I said it yesterday. They went through a stretch, basically from 2016 to about 2020, where they were trading away a lot of futures, right? And eventually
Sammy Ajard is a guy who would have been here.
Right. Like, that eventually catches up to your prospect pool. And I think we all remember, like, when Barry Trotz took over this job, it was pretty bare back there on the prospect pool, and they have done a nice job of getting it to where it's good. But can you get it to where it's great?
I guess you could make the case that Tanner Jeannot had his time here where he was making quite an impact.
He was, but again, that was for like 4 months.
Yeah.
You know,
They got a lot for him.
they did. I mean,
so there's that.
There was that. I mean, they did get an absolute ton that they're still benefiting from. So the point is, they really are in desperate need of some young guys to come in and not only make the team, but to be driving forces of what they do. And I don't know how realistic that is as soon as next year.
Leroy on the YouTube chat says, big trade. Edmonton, give Edmonton Forsberg, Josi, Stamkos, Crazy Kyle for McDavid in a fifth.
I think Crazy Kyle to Edmonton.
That is a
That
perfect. Sucks. Yeah. The Crazy Kyle part, that might be a non-starter, man.
Yeah.
Dude's out there playing me some Cure songs and some like obscure, like New Order stuff. I mean,
I will say, again, we'll see how it goes. I mean, the way they're going right now, they might go on to win the Stanley Cup. But it is going to be interesting to see what Connor McDavid decides to do here. Like if they get put out again, let's say Vegas comes back and win this series and they're out in the second round. He's got a year left on his deal. So he can sign an extension this offseason with Edmonton. If I was him, I wouldn't. I would wait and see how next year goes and see what your options are after that. Now, that's me. He kind of is a different bird with the way that he kind of marches to the beat of his own drum. He doesn't really like going through all that stuff, so we'll see what he decides to do. But I'm just saying, like, if he gets through this offseason, McDavid, and has not signed an extension with Edmonton, how many teams start looking at their cap situation next year and saying, well, maybe we ought to be ready for that just in case. I don't know.
What if they win it all this year? Does that make it less or more likely that he would be like, okay, I've delivered it to you, Edmonton. Now I need to leave Edmonton.
Well, look,
or is it like, I gotta stay with this now.
I can't tell you how he personally feels about like, it'd be great to live anywhere that's not Edmonton. And I don't like, he talks all the time about his driveway that he bought that apparently is a heated driveway. It's like, well, it'd be great to live somewhere where you didn't need a heated driveway.
Yeah.
So I can't answer that part of it. My guess is if they win the cup, he's probably gonna resign there. We'll see.
Interesting. No, that's a big one right there.
Again, I wouldn't make a big deal out of it yet. I'm just saying if he gets all the way through the offseason and has not signed an extension in Edmonton, I do think you're going to see a lot of teams around the league with kind of one eyebrow up in the air saying, huh.
Oh, and that's all we'll be talking about in the league. Just everyone posturing for Connor.
615-737-1025 would kind of be like when like Wade and LeBron and Bosch and all those guys became a free agent back in 2010. It's like, what can we do with this?
Left your beloved Heat.
Oh, they joined my beloved Heat.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. That was when they came in.
Yeah.
Right.
615-737-1025. Our phone number. We'll get into the Titans coming up next in a position that I'm not sure the Titans should be done addressing this offseason. Robby and Rexrode, 1025, 1063, The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, brought to you by First Horizon, Big Bank Muscle, Small Bank Hustle. Visit firsthorizon.com/get-it-all. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Paul Kuharski from paulkuharski.com will be with us later in the program. We will get into all things Tennessee Titans with him. Joe, speaking of the Titans, still a position that I think is of dire need for the Titans heading into this year that I'm interested to see now that we've gotten through the first wave of free agency and the draft has come and gone. Do the Titans continue to try to take some swings here and address? And that is, of course, edge rusher. We talked the other day about edge rusher and how, like, you know, they just took Oladejo in the second round, and maybe he ends up being a really good player for them for a long time. We'll see. He is a guy that just started playing the position, that had limited production playing the position in college, and that I think it's not a huge leap to say, Joe, that could be more of kind of a project that you're trying to bring along as he learns here. Like, it would be surprising to me if Oladejo comes in and he's some 10-sack guy immediately in his NFL career. I'd be surprised by that. Now, at the moment, I'm looking at the roster, and he's going to have to play. Like, he's going to have to play significant snaps for the Titans, which is fine. Like, I don't have a problem with that. But I do look at the rest of the edge rusher room, and as somebody brought up on our text line yesterday, like, Arden Key's the guy right now. Arden Key is like your edge rusher that you probably maybe feel the best about, and I don't know that that's a great spot to be. So there are still some interesting options that are out there potentially at edge rusher. Should the Titans pursue him? I mean, people have brought up Zadarius Smith, who is older and has been around. And my guess is, I don't know this, my guess is probably would like to play for somebody that has a chance to win a Super Bowl, but I don't know how he's approaching that. But at the moment, he's not landed anywhere. So guys like that, there are some interesting options that are still out there that clearly are not great options because they haven't been signed yet to this point in the NFL. But should the Titans continue to pursue edge rusher this offseason, in your opinion?
The edge, yes, but like the edge rusher list of guys available, it's an absolute just gold mine of names that make you like, ooh, but then you have to ask yourself, why are they available? And then, and how far past their prime are they? Big Z, who I thought was okay with the Lions. I mean, I thought he came in and helped them a little bit. So Matthew Judon is out there. Is that correct? Matt Judon is unclaimed.
I believe that is correct. Let me double check on that.
I mean, like, you know, guys who've been out there unsigned: Judon, Big Z, Von Miller, Preston Smith, DeMarcus Walker, Carl Lawson. Like, a lot of guys you're like, not long ago you would have given something up for guys like that, but that's how quickly things go on you in the NFL. So which of those guys are, one, still capable of making plays at a decent price, but also, you know, capable of coming in here and helping your room? Because, again, I like Arden Key. He's a fun guy. He's a big friend and fan of Paul Kuharski.
He is.
But I think Judon's still available. Yeah.
But, you know, like, any of these guys able to come in, because I think that the Harold Landry move takes away absolutely a leader by example, without question. A leader by example, someone who does it right every day, pro, good thing to have, especially when you know, again, you're trying to, you got the young guy you just drafted, you got other young guys in there, and who knows if any of them will work out. And it's not the most important. The most important thing is, can you get any production at all from some of these guys? But it'd also be good to have a leader.
Well, you've got
Von Miller, I've always thought of as a leader.
I would agree. Now, if I'm Von Miller, I don't know if I've got much interest playing for the Titans, frankly.
Yeah, I think the only way any of these guys do is if it's like the DeAndre Hopkins thing was like, well, that's clearly the most money anybody's offered me. So, and also Hopkins didn't know he was coming into a bleep show. He thought he was coming into a good team.
Right. And, you know, Zadarius Smith is out there. Preston Smith is out there. You know, both those guys are 32. They'll be 33. You've got guys like, you know, DeMarcus Walker that is out there who none of the options right
name.
now are great.
We all know the names.
We all know the names, but none of the options are great. But like, frankly, if you're the Titans with where you're at with that position right now, would it not be worth maybe just trying to taking a flyer on one of these guys and seeing if they've got anything left in the table? And if they don't, well, then they don't. But right now, to me, like you're so light at that position, I would not hate them like saying, yeah, Preston Smith, come in, let's see what you got.
Yeah, just to have another body. Absolutely, I think it'd be worthwhile, and we'll see how it shakes out with like UDFA guys. I don't even off the top of my head, I don't recall. I'm sure they signed one or two guys in the UDFA front, and sometimes you can get someone who can get into the rotation or push for the 53 and out of that pool. But yeah, I think that going for the veteran answer here, it's such a barren room. I think it's got to be a serious consideration, right?
615-737-1025, our phone number. Should the Titans pursue more options at edge rusher now that the first wave of free agency and the NFL draft is behind us? We'll take your thoughts on that. Plus, an interesting storyline in the AFC South that I'm paying very, very close attention to heading into the season. We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5-106.3 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode brought to you by First Horizon, Big Bank Muscle, Small Bank Hustle. Visit firsthorizon.com/getitall. Live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Paul Kuharski from paulkuharski.com will be with us a little bit later in the program. We'll get into all things Tennessee Titans with him. Joe, we have TJ on Twitter saying, I think they're going to draft the Titans are going to grab an edge rush guy when one gets cut off another team that they like, just in maybe in training camp at that point. We talk about something like that every year. How often does that actually happen? Where like somebody gets cut somewhere else and then comes in and makes an impact for your team. It happens. Like, it's not like it doesn't happen, but how often have the Titans benefited from that in recent memory? Like, you know, they traded away Malik Willis last year at the end of camp for 7th round pick. He ended up helping the Green Bay Packers win 3 games last year, including one against you. But very rarely do you see like the late cut guy or the I guess the guy that you get rid of right on the roster cut down day, either via trade or via cut, come in and make an impact somewhere else.
Yeah. Trying to think, was Khalif Raymond one of those guys at receiver a few years ago?
I think he might have been. Yeah.
So I think they claimed Josh Klein one time.
Yep.
The offensive lineman.
He started.
He played for a little bit.
Played.
Yep.
A good guard.
So it happens. But it's not a great strategy.
Not like edge.
Yeah.
You know, he's a guard.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, I'm sure they'll try, and sometimes it'll work out for you. I'm trying to go through what I should have done during the break, but on the edge front on the UDFAs, because all we talk about with the UDFAs is Xavier Restrepo, which is either the greatest move ever or the worst move ever. By the time it's interesting, I don't see actually an edge in the reported guys that they have on the UDA front. Not sure if David Gibenda would be that, but they signed some D linemen, but they're light, man. They are definitely light at the edge.
There is no doubt about
Strategy.
that. Elsewhere in the AFC South, one thing is going to be really interesting to keep an eye on here, particularly with the Indianapolis Colts, is what's going to happen at quarterback. A friend of the show, James Boyd, who covers the Colts for The Athletic, put together yesterday like his off-season stock report of things that are going on with the Colts. And he very quickly obviously talks about Anthony Richardson in this. And I'll just read kind of like a brief part of what he put out there yesterday, talking about Daniel Jones coming in and providing competition for Richardson. Says, quote, "It makes sense. Richardson failed to deliver in too many ways last season, completing just 47.7% of his passes while also missing 4 games due to oblique and back injuries and being benched for another 2 games due to what Colts coach Shane Steichen cited as lack of game preparation. The team's hope has to be that the signing of Jones and the messaging about the quarterback competition will light a fire under Richardson, who has, according to the Colts, been hard at work this offseason and embraced his competition with Jones. However, if Richardson fails to prove he's taken a significant step forward as a passer and a leader, his days in Indianapolis will be numbered." This Daniel Jones-Anthony Richardson quarterback competition to me is very fascinating heading into this year, because I think I know Daniel Jones. Now, granted, as we've talked about, we have recent examples of quarterbacks being one thing in their first stop and going on to improve and be better in their second stop. So I guess we can leave some room for Daniel Jones to have that happen with him as well. But frankly, I don't know that I'm a huge believer that Daniel Jones is going to do that in Indianapolis. If Anthony Richardson loses the quarterback competition to Daniel Jones, it's kind of amazing to me based on where he was drafted and the way that they've kind of shaped their team around him. Now, I get it. Like, the numbers are what they are. 47.7% of his passes last year. Like, it's hard to do in today's NFL is to be that inaccurate with the football. So I get it. But it kind of feels like to me that Anthony Richardson, like the last line there from James Boyd, his name's being numbered. Like, I kind of feel like we're there. I feel like getting to this point with him, it feels like he's not going to be there much longer.
Yeah, the game preparation thing is the I mean, that's like, man, how do you get to that? It's so disappointing because you knew there'd be growing pains, that he wasn't ready, all that stuff. But that, and then of course the tap out, which at the time, I guess I was like, well, I guess, sometimes if you're just exhausted and you have to, but obviously that was not taken well. And it's just something we just don't see. We just have not seen.
Coach, come get me.
I mean, you see it in other sports,
Bring in Joe Flacco. I got to take a breather.
It'd be one thing if he was like hurt, but it didn't sound like it was like an injury thing.
No, he totally should have lied right from the start.
I'd be acting like my finger's broken. Take a look at it.
Like, I tweaked something.
Right,
I thought maybe,
yeah. Look at my calf.
Yeah,
look
my hip just tweaked a little bit.
I mean, just
I've never seen a quarterback do that.
Any kind of a cramp is fine. Just look at my calf. Okay, all right, it feels okay. All right, get back in there. You got your playoff. Hey, I'm tired.
Get me.
Need a blow. This drive's going fine. We can. We don't
need the quarterback.
Yeah, just hand off on first down. I'll be right back out there.
Yeah,
it's I guess it's not nothing should be that surprising when it comes to a quarterback not working out, because most of them don't. Like vast majority don't.
Yeah,
but you hate to see it, not work out for reasons like that. Because he seems to have like a great personality to be a leader of a team, and obviously he has all the tools. But what they've done here kind of tells you, and then what James wrote there kind of tells you internally, it's not going well.
So what do you make of the clearly they're hoping that this lights a fire with him, maybe
or Daniel Jones was with a crap team, and let's remember he has won a playoff game on the road and had a really good year, so maybe there's something there.
Maybe. I just can't get past Chris Ballard has been there for a decade at this point, and they've not won the division. And if the conversation heading into this offseason was, we're gonna bring in Daniel Jones, and if he wins our starting quarterback competition, we're cool with it. If I'm Jim Irsay, I'm like, what do you mean? You just spent the 4th overall pick on this quarterback a couple years ago, and you think I'm going to keep you around if this doesn't work out? I can't get past it. How is he still employed? That's the way this goes.
Right. And when they drafted it, so okay, now you've got your thing. Okay. This is it. This is Chris Ballard. This is a job. And yet I still at this point could somehow buy that Irsay could be talked into keeping him, and hey, but that Daniel Jones pickup was pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
Who knows with Irsay, what the heck he's going to do.
You know what Colts fans are rooting for just the absolute tank this year, right? Because they want Arch. I've seen a lot of that from Colts Twitter.
See a lot of
we need another Manning around here. Go get Arch.
A shirt
Saints fans want him.
For Arch.
Colts fans want him.
Yeah, and don't even get me started. Because he has a great last name. He was a big prospect, and so far we have no idea if he's even a good college quarterback. Okay. He might be. Every mock draft has him going number 1. Okay. It's amazing. And this is an example. There are cases where it's there's plenty of former players, kids who no one gives a crap about because they're not good.
Yeah.
But I do feel like this is absolutely a case of just the last name dictating what people think about him. And he's a good athlete.
Your prediction right now, who's starting week 1 for Indianapolis at quarterback, Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson?
That's a good question. I really don't know how this is going to go. I feel like Richardson. I still feel like if the competition is close, it probably will be. If the reps are split, don't they have to take one more shot with Richardson?
It's got to be Richardson. That's my answer. It has to be. And then, if you're 4 weeks in and it's just clear that he's not gotten any better and it's just not going to work, then I guess you go to Daniel Jones at that point and you're talking about drafting another quarterback next year. That's where you're at. But, to me, he's got to start the year and just see where he's at. And hopefully, in the process of all of it, he's learned how to be a little bit better of a pro, and he's, approaching the preparation part of it the right way. Now, the one thing I'll say is 47.7% completion percentage. Like, how much better is that going to get, right? Like, if you're that inaccurate with the ball, how much better is that going to get as he moves forward here? Because if you're that inaccurate with the ball, I'm not sure there's much that can be done to save you at that point, right?
You got to get to about 58, which is still not good.
Yeah. Like what was he his first year?
It certainly wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that bad, but I also don't think it was great. Like he was, let's see here. He was 58%, or excuse me, 47.7 his second year. And in year one, it was 59.5. Well, so that's not good either, but it's way better than 47.7%.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, at least hover around 60, please. Schefter just announced.
Yeah, the terms of the trade.
I thought we had that earlier. We didn't have that earlier?
I mean, technically, we didn't have the swap.
A third and what's the swap?
5th and a 6th.
Okay.
Someone gets the 5th, someone gets the 6th. I can't remember. In 2027.
So basically a third.
There you go. Congratulations, George Pickens.
And Jared Jones.
Newest member of the Dallas Cowboys. Let's head right back to our 1025 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Tim to the program. Tim, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, guys. They were talking yesterday on the noon show whether or not Cam Ward should be the day one starter. With the fan base as low as this is, probably at the whole time that they've been in Tennessee, you go out and make a number one draft pick, and then you say he's not the number one pick. If you'd got Travis Hunter, he'd been day one starter, wouldn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Then if you're making Cam Ward the number one pick and he's not, you made a mistake.
We'll see. Thank you for the call. I mean, Cam Ward's going to start day one.
Yeah, he will. Yeah, I mean, but I understand like why fans would ask that question if he didn't.
I agree.
Even though some people believe, in sitting a quarterback, but yeah, I mean,
he's going to start.
He'll start.
Yeah. Now, I don't. There's a lot of things I think Titans fans have to worry about. I don't think that's one of them. I think he's going to start.
Yeah, and they're just not. So it's going to be frustrating for you because they're not going to say it, and they're going to talk competition and all this stuff, and it's just like what we've been talking about a little bit with Richardson and Jones. To me, the competition has to be still rigged toward Richardson wins unless it's insanely like Daniel Jones is so good. It's like, okay, well, we're actually going to win with this guy. And just like whoever is taking reps with Cam Ward this year, it doesn't matter.
Jim Irsay's press conference on Daniel. You guys wouldn't believe what Daniel Jones is doing out here at training camp.
You don't know me.
You wouldn't believe it.
You sound like Batman.
He brought up Travis Hunter there. Interesting plan from Jacksonville on the Travis Hunter front. We'll get to Joe's thoughts on it. I got a feeling Joe's going to hate it. We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025, 1063, The Game. Tune in to 94.9 The Fan tonight as the Nashville Sounds take on Norfolk. Pregame beginning at 6:20, first pitch at 6:35. Coverage also available on the Game Nashville app and at thegamenashville.com. Sounds baseball on 94.9 The Fan, presented by Twin Peaks and Family Leisure. Paul Kuharski from paulkuharski.com will join us here in just a bit. We'll get into all things Tennessee Titans with him. Joe, our favorite duo in sports right now, Gladstone and Cohen, sounds like a law firm down there in Jacksonville, have put together their plan for Travis Hunter. It's not necessarily overly surprising. They talked about like how they viewed him basically after the draft. Once you got past the bending time and space stuff that Gladstone was throwing out there, it looks like they're viewing him primarily at the moment as a receiver. So in their offseason plan so far, he is playing at receiver, and that's the way that he's going. And I guess the plan is to introduce more reps at cornerback with him as the offseason goes and into camp. But at the moment, he's flying around out there at receiver, and it's him and Brian Thomas out there with the unstoppable new duo down there in Jacksonville. I know that you think he can be a generational type of corner. Jacksonville apparently seeing it at least a little bit differently, at least just to start here. What do you make of their plan with Travis Hunter right now going at receiver?
If this was not a joke of an organization, I might be okay, well, maybe I'm wrong. But I have more conviction than ever that I'm not wrong. Yeah, look, I'm not saying he can't be great at receiver. It's he is. It's a different deal with him, even with Gladstone. You know, we can literally change the world.
With that, game on.
We need some, are there any good snippets from that Gladstone? We need to, that may need to be in, the rotation, I don't know if, the whole, we were hunting him up, but boy, he had some doozies in there. I just think that you are, as the Jacksonville Jaguars, you are potentially costing yourself, a corner that's going to take away half the field. I think he's that good. And I also I'd love to see it work out to where they're doing this. He's going to be in the offense. And now I think it's definitely easier to be able to kind of just jump in at corner and play than it is to just, jump in at receiver. I mean, if it was the other way around, and it's going to be a few plays for him, right?
Yeah.
That's what it is. So I guess I don't hate the idea if you're really trying to have him seriously involved in both sides.
Apparently
to go
they are.
Offense first.
Yeah.
It's just, I just can't buy. I'd love to see it. I hope he does pull it off and that he is the first player to really do it. It's just hard for me to believe that when you have that many snaps in this league and you're pretty skinny, that you're going to avoid injury. And then at some point, if that happens, then the decision is going to have to be made. You just have to pick a side. You have to pick a side and play, 50 snaps in a game, 55, 60, whatever it is, not every freaking snap. You can't do it.
I just can't help but think that there's Jacksonville's going to find a way to screw him up, right? That's kind of the first thought that comes into my head, which when the move happened and they moved up to go get him, I thought, man, okay. Pretty aggressive play by Jacksonville there, and I think Travis Hunter is going to be a really, really good player at the NFL level. And then I thought about it more, and I was like, well, but it's Jacksonville. He's going to Jacksonville, and if there's a way to screw something up, they have proven time and time again that they can do it. Now, I understand that had he stayed and gone number 2 overall and there was no move, he would have been going to Cleveland, and it's not like their history is any better. So I get that. But I mean, this is what happens when you get drafted high. You go to bad teams and bad organizations, but I don't know. I like him at receiver. That would have probably been where I would have started him here with the Titans because I think he's got a chance to be a really, really good receiver. I just don't have faith that the Jacksonville Jaguars aren't going to find some way to screw him up, which is a shame. We'll see how it goes. I'm sure Titans fan would hate to see it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, it's funny you bring up Cleveland because Gene here is texting, guys, talk me off the ledge. Fan of Cleveland sports were cursed. The drive, the fumble, Red Right 88, Elo versus Jordan. Indians blew it. Now Halliburton. Gosh, I need the Titans so bad to help my sanity. Now, remember with Cleveland, think about a guy that they did not screw up. Now, they may not have been great, although they have actually had some playoff success, but Myles Garrett has been great in Cleveland, right? So it's not like everything they touch turns to doo-doo brown.
Nice.
Yeah. Thank you. So I think Travis Hunter's too good to not be a great player in the NFL. But if he does not become starting in like every down corner pretty quickly in this league, then I think they're screwing it up. I just think that like you have something that could totally, not completely transform your defense. Sorry, Gladstone, but can make
Travis
your
Hunter
defense.
is who we've been hunting up.
There we go. But I mean, someone who can make
What
your
a nerd.
defense way better. And I just don't. I can't believe, like, the defensive coordinator there must be like pulling his hair out. Like, dude, please let me have the kid. But look, I can't sit here and say he won't be great at receiver.
How scared are Titans fans of the Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas, Travis Hunter combo on Jacksonville's offense? And it's got a chance to be pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, Titans fans, they're
Lawrence
scared of their own awfulness.
Well, that's true.
Like they have so many concerns of their own that it's like, yeah, okay.
I mean, like the response to that would be like, I'm scared of the Brian Thomas, Travis Hunter combo. I don't know that I'm necessarily scared of the Trevor Lawrence part of that.
Yeah. But if Travis Hunter is going to be what they think at receiver, then this chance for Trevor Lawrence look pretty good.
Think he'll play running back too? How many positions are they going to have him play out there?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I would have him at corner, and then I'd give him a jet sweep. I'd give him a reverse.
Is he outside or inside at receiver?
I mean, I think he could probably inside, but who knows what they'll do.
615-737-1025, our phone number. More of your thoughts on the Titans to get to. Coming up next, 615-737-1025. Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharsky.com will be with us later in the program. We got the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up as well. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 1025-1063 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, brought to you by First Horizon, Big Bank Muscle, Small Bank Hustle. Visit firsthorizon.com/get-it-all. Paul Kuharski from paulkuharski.com is with us on the program. We'll take your questions for PK all program long on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. PK, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I am well and happy to be here.
We're happy to have you.
Thank you.
It's a nice, beautiful morning out there. Just got more beautiful with PK walking in the door.
Oh, aren't you
It
sweet?
did. Nice traffic out there, too.
It is.
I breezed in.
Good stuff. Glad to have you. So, PK, I'm going to start with you on this. How long do you think we're going to have to endure what I like to refer to dog and pony show of acting like there's a quarterback competition out there from the Titans, from Brian Callahan, as it relates to Cam Ward and the rest of that room right now?
I hope not long, but I think they need to leave themselves an out in case he somehow isn't ready. I know we all think no matter what, he's got to be out there. I agree with that. But like, what if he comes in and he's just, gets off to a really rough start and he's not ready and he needs 6 weeks to ease in? If they declare him the starter right away and then they get to that, then it's like, oh my God, he's failed already, right? And then the narrative is terrible. So if they cast it as, he's got to, what they should do, I think, is cast it more as he's got to earn it.
Yeah.
Nobody comes in and is automatically given anything. And just like everybody else on the team, he's got to earn it. And if they do that instead of setting it as a competition, I think it sounds better, feels better, like, oh, it's just like everybody else kind of thing, instead of making it like, yeah, he's fighting with an inferior pedigree guy to get to the top of the depth chart.
I mean, who would he even? So, I mean, like, if Levis is here, is that who gets the reps, next most reps, or the split reps with him? Or
I would think so.
Brandon Allen?
I mean, to me, Levis is the second best quarterback here. But they could stack it the other way. I mean, I think the things that people worry about with Will Levis and the reason so many people think he can't be here is because of how he'll react to this situation. And it would be kind of, he's a very feisty number one type quarterback personality. If you bump him all the way to 3, then that really isn't. Then if you're afraid of that as a 2, and you bump them all the way to 3, you're really going to provoke those things, aren't you?
Yeah. You're going to provoke fans who are like, oh, so good thing you didn't take that trade from the Giants for your number 3 quarterback. There's that too.
Well,
He's talking about moving Levis to 3.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I totally.
If you moved Will Levis to number
feisty,
3
I'm like,
in the package,
okay, yeah, I got you.
Yeah, he's feisty.
Yeah,
right.
I didn't like the way it was
Plus,
framed.
I think, but one more thing, I think you need to give him, if you're doing this for real, like if you're doing what I'm saying, which I think fundamentally you'd like to do for your football team, like you don't crown anybody coming in no matter what they are. That's part of the cultural reset and all of that. Well, then you've got to give Levis his chance, and he just worked for 6 weeks with Jordan Palmer and everything. And you got to give him a start from 0 thing too, where you look and see what he is.
I just didn't love
that he's going to be number 1.
Kind of the way they laid it out. Like, I think it would have been easy to say, we've got a plan at quarterback and we're going to stick with our plan. And basically you guys will see that when Cam gets rolling here. But what he said was, I mean, how many reps they get are going to be up to them.
Yeah.
Like, which I think leaves yourself open to, okay, well, number one, hopefully Cam Ward handles that the way that you hope he will. And he comes in and he's clearly the best guy. And then I guess it doesn't really matter all that much. But like, what happens if Will Levis does come out there and looks better? And then you've either got to give him more reps and follow through with what you said you're going to do, or you just don't. And then Will Levis is looking around like, wait a minute, you said that it's going to be up to us how many reps we get, and I'm clearly outperforming him, and you're still not giving it to me. I just think the way that Callahan laid it out there was too much, and all you should have said was, yeah, we got to play at quarterback.
And the other thing is, you kind of conflict the whole thing, right? Because you don't want you don't want Levis in any way to look better than Ward.
Right.
But if you're determined to get Will out of town, the better he looks during training camp and certainly in the preseason, the better for you in terms of being able to deal him for something of value.
This is like there's a Sports Illustrated article about Jim Tressel and all the tattoo stuff.
Yeah.
And there was very little to all of it. Actually, Charles spent like 6 months in Columbus and then just never wrote anything because it's just like, seriously. It's like
you're working for a good company when they're willing to swallow that.
So one of the stories in that was like at his camps, they would have like they draw a number of a hat or something and it was always like the 5-star prize. Like, oh, he won. It's like, yeah, dude, every coach does that. Like it's the same thing. It's like, yeah, this is a competition, but it's totally rigged it has to be, right? I mean, it has to be rigged.
The other part of that is like, I don't want, like, let's say Levis goes out there and plays great. Good for him. If I'm in charge, I don't care. Like, I want every rep possible going to Cam Ward.
Right, because the games are different than practices.
Yeah. Right.
As soon as he can handle the load, you give him the load.
Exactly. So that's why I just don't love the way that they rolled that out there in terms of just, the reps are open.
Yeah,
we'll see what
phrasing was probably regrettable. I bet you he would do it differently if he could. Maybe not.
I think you're right, Joe. I definitely think you're right.
But I agree. It's basically just do like your buddy Vrabel would totally, everybody's got to earn everything, and just leave it at that. Yeah.
Well, again, hopefully it becomes pretty, he is the number 1 overall pick and they clearly love him for a reason. So hopefully it becomes pretty clear early on that he is by far the best option you've got at quarterback. I mean, if he's not, then maybe you've potentially got some other issues at that point. I don't know.
Yeah, but I could totally see those first few days, I could absolutely see Levis looking sharper than him. I mean, you would kind of hope that Levis would, with the work he's done, with his knowledge of the offense, would look good, right? And again, Levis can look good in practice. Doesn't affect me. I'm with you. It's like, great. And then we've seen you in games.
Yeah, I don't care.
And we won't see you in games anymore.
Also, it would be very Titan-esque if, and I don't remember reports of Daniels or Stroud being phenomenal at their first couple practices, but I also don't remember any reports of there being bumps in the road for those guys. They came in and they were very much there to be the number 1 quarterback, and they were very much the number 1 quarterback as opposed to Richardson, who you guys were talking about, a little while ago. It'd be very Titans-esque for Ward to have, bumps in the road early, so that we had all of this fodder for there to be some kind of nonsense.
Nice pick, Titans.
Yeah. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We got a PK rant coming up next. We'll get into that. Paul Kuharsky with us for the rest of the program. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment. Let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
There's sunlight. There's a dog's ass. It hits it sometimes.
And we want him to be nothing more than him.
Oh, it's another one of these Super Bowls. So awesome. Go to the prom after this.
Travis Hunter is who we've been hunting up.
And my new Paul Kaharski is Edith Bunker.
Archie, I made a roast for you tonight.
And especially my husband, Archie Bunker.
Do your favorite foods cause gout flare-ups? Join our clinical study, Fighting Gout at the Source.
No, Archie, please don't do that.
Time.
It is that time of the day. Time for the Rex Rant, which is being taken over today by Paul Kuharski from paulkuharski.com, affectionately now known as Archie.
Those were the days.
Not Archie, but Edith. I mean, you just heard it. You heard her and her exaggerated thing. Then you heard me, normal. And then you heard her, an exaggerated thing. It sound nothing alike. And Joe's like, yes, exactly. Exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's like there's a delusional thing. It's from the Metallica going in his ears and messing up what sounds like sound.
I don't know. I loved it. I loved every second.
I think it works perfectly. We're going to keep going with it. PK.
By the way, very quickly before you get going, PK.
Yes, sir.
Eric on the text line, humbly presenting this for consideration for PK's titled The Rant. The Paul Mall, M-A-U-L, the Paul Mall.
Ooh.
It's my primary complaint. This has long been established. Are you guys like me? Do you fondly remember a time early in the smartphone era where you could like download a game and play a game?
Yes.
Like maybe you'd buy the game, maybe you'd subscribe to the game, but you could just play a mindless game. Now there seem to be word games that you could do that with, but everything else is infiltrated. Now I've gotten myself addicted to this game. It's you have like 3 different sizes of buses and there are passengers waiting, and you have to put the right buses up to go pick up the right color passengers that match the buses. And if you do it wrong, you run out. It's absolutely mindless. But I'm actually enduring the constant interruption of advertisements, which are mostly for Royal Match. Royal Match it dominates absolutely everything about cell phone gaming.
Yep.
I'm reading now that it's like almost $1 billion industry. Maybe it makes $130 million in revenue each month. I don't know who is funneling this money to Royal Match, but if you endure the commercials, like I just put the phone down while it does a 90-second commercial and pick it up again. The quality of people that are advertising for Royal Match, Simon Cowell, Kevin Dillon, Kevin O'Leary, Courtney Cox, Lisa Kudrow, and Jimmy Fallon. Why is Jimmy Fallon doing advertisements for Royal Match? What is happening here that a huge late night host who hosts like the Emmys or the Oscars or whatever is doing advertisements for the most annoying, interfering thing that exists in cell phone? I would make it my life's mission if I were able to destroy this game and to go back to a world where you could just pay for a game, like one-time fee, and play it.
No interruption.
It's unbelievable that you can't do this anymore. Cell phones are far worse than they used to be. You used to be able to play a mindless game. You could play it for half an hour and not think about anything else except matching up the buses and the passengers. Now, I got Simon Cowell on there.
I don't know anything you're talking about. We're Royal Match?
Yeah. Oh,
well, how do I not know this? How is this not on my phone?
If you download
any game,
anything like on your phone,
okay,
any game, you will get a Royal Match advertisement.
Okay.
It's crazy.
Now I thought
I never.
I
go
thought-
for the record. I
Dover
never
says
played Royal
Kevin
Match.
Hart too.
I
Kevin
thought
Hart.
I thought I was going to outsmart it, like it's begging you to download it. I'm like, well, I'm going to download it and never play it. Now instead of begging me to download it, just begs me to open it.
Please open your app.
There's no getting around this thing.
No, it's wild. Like I used to. What was the one back a few years ago that I played all the things? Temple Run on your phone.
yeah,
I played
remember
Temple
Temple
Run.
Yeah, and it was fun.
It was fun.
Subway
Yeah.
Surfer.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Games you can play.
And now, like, I haven't downloaded a game in a long time, and I finally did like 2 months ago. And I don't remember what it was. Something stupid. I don't remember what it was, but I couldn't get through it because it was ads every 15 seconds.
And even the ad is unclear. It's as if, okay, you could just watch the ad and you'll be done with the ad and then you go. But then it's like you're done with the ad and you hit, okay, I'm done with the ad. I X out of it. And then it comes back. You have to go through like 3 layers of being done with the ad before you could get back to the game.
You know what I hate the worst?
It's insufferable.
These ads that will pop up sometimes, and some of them are on the phone for games. Some of them are just random ads on websites that play, and you've got the opportunity to X out of it, but they like try to camouflage the X,
right?
Where you got to
can't
go like
find it.
you got to go like hunting for like where is the X to get out of this thing. It's
And
annoying.
some of them you have to like play along with the sample game for a minute. You're Maggie the farmer and you have to go collect eggs, stack up the eggs, and then go turn in the eggs for money. And you have to do this for 30 seconds of the advertisement in order to get out of it and get back to your buses.
Austin and Franklin says, I've never met a person that's actually played Royal Match.
No!
Never met one person.
But they're making $130 according to this, $130 million a month according to this thing.
Someone says there are no ads on Royal Match. So
Well,
That's
maybe
the irony
that's
of the whole
game.
thing. Yeah. No, we're going to add you to death, but if you come join us, you can play ad free.
Can you play Tetris still? I would like that. I'd like to.
It's
play.
Probably with a lot of ads for Royal Match.
You know, I miss the old PC days when you could just throw up the Minesweeper or the Solitaire and just go.
But I don't think enough attention is paid to the
Pinball.
fact that what was once great has been absolutely ruined. Like nobody downloads a game to play it because of these very things. And it used to be like Subway Surfers and Temple Run were great.
Did you know? You said Courtney Cox, right?
Yeah.
You know she was in the Dancing in the Dark video with Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Did you know that?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, thanks.
You like that song?
So like I had a friend one time in DC. This is like early 90s. And I think for my birthday, she bought me a copy of Born in the USA. As if I wouldn't have Born in the USA.
Here's a song you should hear, Paul.
The record. She bought me the whole album. It's like, yeah, thanks. I'll put this with my other one.
We need your suggestions, your help on our text line. We need video games on the phone that do not have ads. Send them your way. 615-737-1025.
It's going to be a
is
silent
our
time.
phone number. 615-737-1025. We got a lot of things on the Titans front to get into with PK. We'll do that for the next hour. Take your thoughts as well, your questions at 615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode, 1025-1063 The Game.
Stand back. There's a hurricane coming through.
Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharsky.com with us for the next hour, talking all things Tennessee Titans. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. A C from Franklin texting in says, I'm scared to share the name of my adless game because I worry they'll data scrape this message and then add advertisements to it.
That's a great text.
You got a lot of suggestions.
How
a lot
about-
of people, and also a suggestion to,
How about a private DM on that?
Yeah, there you go. Also, you need to turn your thing down, Paul. Come on,
Thank you.
And also,
technological guru Joe Rexrode enforcing
right.
things.
I mean, when I'm in here telling people what to do, we know we got Mr. Magoo here in the studio.
This guy who's missing keys on his keyboard laptop. He's got it taped together.
Hey, what's wrong with my laptop? Come on, everything's fine.
Holding together by one thread.
I mean, I want to do a video essay on Joe's laptop and show the one in a box at home.
Has a
It's
perfectly
unopened.
good laptop that's just ready and waiting for years. Just ready to go.
Adam Vingen, if you're listening, it's time. And Nick Keyser, Adam Vinger, you guys have both offered to teach me how to use a MacBook.
Well, they've offered
It's
1,000
It's
times.
so
I know.
intuitive. It's so intuitive.
I know.
In a day, you'll know it.
But someone else on the text line said if you go airplane mode, apparently you can play the game, the ads won't show up. So that's a thought too.
Huh. There's
Yeah, but then what if you guys send me a text?
then you miss out.
What if Chad sends me a text to come give another beer with him?
Chad. I ain't drinking beers with Chad, just for the record.
Oh, look, he's so sensitive. I'm just kidding. He could have been any Chad.
There's a specific Chad out there, so
There is.
Hanging Chad?
There's actually, there's only one that people think you carry water for, apparently.
That right there is a Titan.
There's your Chad.
I was actually thinking Withrow.
I know you were. That's why.
Oh, really?
He's thinking-
Yeah.
No, I was talking about Brinker.
He's taking a different Chad.
See, you got multiple Chads.
Oh, man. So we were talking earlier about the edge rusher spot. You've gotten through the first wave of free agency, now the draft, and I'm looking at edge rusher, and I'm like, I don't love where things sit at edge rusher right now. I also don't love the available options that are out there. We went through some names. Preston Smith is out there, and Matt Judon is out there, and Zadarius Smith. So, PK, as we sit here today, do you think the Titans will? Do you think the Titans should continue to pursue some help at edge rusher this offseason based on how light they appear to be in that spot right now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see how they don't add something somewhere. But some of the guys you're talking about, I mean, Judon is free because the Falcons don't want him. The Falcons are the worst pass rushing team in the league over the last 20 years.
They addressed that in the draft.
I mean, they just have no success with pass rushers. So if they don't want them, but you look at the Titans, I mean, they've got Oladejo now, Arden Key, Draymond Jones, and Lorenzo Carter are the top four. You've gotten beefier there. I'm confident that you can stop the run better with Jones and Oladejo. But then your depth is Ali Gay, who's got, some size. Again, you're bigger. Jalen Harrell, who people got excited about in the preseason last year and then did nothing.
And forgot existed.
Yeah. So it's really thin in terms of depth. And that's a problem throughout the roster. When it's a bad roster and you're not that confident in some people in the first column and definitely the second column, well, then you're not going to have much competition for the second column with what's in the third column. But I mean, they don't have a pure pass rusher on the team. Arden Key is the closest thing you have, and he's out of style now in terms of they're getting bigger. He's the leanest, the bendiest. And he's streaky is the thing, so he goes on a good streak where he'll have 3 weeks and really be influential.
Yep.
But then he'll go 3 weeks where you're like, where's Arden Key? So they need better. And that's why the Oladejo pick is so curious, because he's a growth player, and we're not going to see close to the best of what he can be this year. You wouldn't think. I could see him starting because of rundown play.
Yeah.
Right. I could see him playing quote unquote in front of Key to take up the downs that Key is not the best at, and then Key being a third down, a passing down guy.
I mean, the names in this edge group of available.
Yeah, you're right. It's
Great
like an
names.
all-star cast from 4 years
but
ago.
Are any? Yeah, exactly. Are any of them actually good anymore? Are any of them a credit, like a big add to a locker room?
Well, and how many, some people want to play just for the sake of playing, right? And they want to get more money and all that stuff. But somebody brought up Von Miller. Like Von Miller at this stage in his career, why would he want to come play for the Titans? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, a guy like that is definitely ring chasing at this point, right? I mean,
And you set aside Beasley and Clowney. The Titans really brought in any older pass. They've done it at receiver consistently where they brought in older guys. And I don't have the best memory for this, so maybe there've been a couple that I'm not remembering. But I don't think they've really brought in older edge guys.
I mean, Arakpo was in his prime when they got him.
Yeah, it's a and Dupree. When they've signed a free agent, when they've signed a big free agent, they've been swinging.
That
was probably the ones.
That's a
good
pretty good example. And he actually, before he got hurt that year,
that was not a bad signing.
Opener.
That was not a bad signing.
And he was 37 when they brought him in.
That guy was great to talk to. I forgot about that guy.
He
I really liked him. Too bad
he was great.
Was here for 5 minutes.
Yeah, he played 9 games that year for the Titans, but he was pretty good before he got hurt. Yeah, but
it's hard to find many guys like that on their roster, and obviously
that's
it's a
what
new,
they need.
new regime.
Something like that would be good.
Yeah, really good.
So we talked a lot about running back heading into the draft, right? And what were they going to do? Would they find a running back that could come in and could challenge Tajay Spears for kind of that second spot there? So we know that they've drafted a running back now coming out of the draft. What do you make of that room and how players could be used here? I guess what I'm asking is, do you think that Tajay Spears is still clearly the number 2 running back on the team with Mullings coming in from Michigan as a 6th-round pick?
I would call it like 2 2s. So Spears is like relief of Pollard in Pollard downs. And Mullings is, clearly short yardage, maybe goal line, between the tackles, tough runs. Not that Pollard can't do that. They seem to be very concerned with saving Pollard over the long haul and not overworking him so that they can get the best out of him in December, January. I think I'm skewed a little bit because Derrick Henry was a guy you didn't have to worry about that stuff with. And my philosophy with running backs, generally just the way running backs go in the league, is use them up and then get the next guy. But,
it's kind.
If they've got a real concern, so use them up this year. But if you feel like September carries are going to hurt him in December, then you can't use them up that way. I'm not impressed with Spears. Maybe an offensive line will help him with carries, but certainly up between the tackles, I don't feel like he's got the juice that we thought he did. If you can get him outside, that's great. I like him as a pass catcher. You get him in space and he can really do things, but he also seems to get banged up pretty easily.
Having Scadaboo in, who should have been the Cam that went number 1 overall, having James in from Oregon, drafting Mullings. So is it in your mind as simple as they just wanted a short yardage option, or are they actually like we need a power back to be more involved in this offense, not just in the obvious situations?
I think there's probably opportunity for B, but I think it started at A.
God, Cam Scadaboo is going to be so amazing.
Unfortunately, he's playing for the Giants.
Yeah, that's true. He might suck because he plays for them.
Short
what
career.
A waste.
Short career, he said.
I think short career. I think he's going to take a beating.
Well, most running backs do have short careers.
Yeah, but
right?
he initiates the beating, and that's exciting and cool. We talked about this, but I think it's just my gut feeling that he'll wear down at an accelerated pace.
615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. Your questions for Paul Kuharsky, all things Titans, we'll get to over the next 45 minutes with PK here with us. More coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. The 615 Open Charity Golf Tournament benefiting Folds of Honor presented by Gary Force Acura. Coming up at Hermitage Golf Course Thursday, May 29th. You can sign up to play or sponsor at 615open.com. Paul Kuharski with us here on the program, taking your thoughts, your questions on the Titans, 615-737-1025. All right, PK, on the Brian Callahan front, we've talked so much about Cam Ward and how he and the way he plays is largely going to determine what happens with Brian Callahan. So we know that. We know that's going to be a big part of what goes on here. How far behind would you rank how the offensive line plays this year in determining Brian Callahan's fate? We were talking about this the other day. You brought in Brian Callahan, but you also brought in Bill Callahan. And part of that was to fix the offensive line. He's a Hall of Fame level offensive line coach. You've spent significant resources on the offensive line, both financially with what you did with Dan Moore. You bring in Kevin Zeitler. You've got the draft picks that you've had with Latham and Skoronski on that line. We'll see when Cushenberry's back and when he's healthy and when he's ready to go, but there's another free agent signing. I mean, significant resources to try to fix this thing. If it's bad again this year, I think that's going to be tough for the Callahans to overcome here. How far behind how well Cam Ward plays does that one rank for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely number 2. Look, Bill Callahan's had a hand in choosing these people. There's no question about that. And so I think probably the coaching has been more influential over the player selection at that position than any other position. I feel safe to say Reggie McKenzie is regarded as a line guy, offensive and defensive line. So the collaboration word that we haven't heard, I would imagine that McKenzie and Bill Callahan worked together to some degree on this, along with the rest of the front office. But you're absolutely right. And I've talked about this a little bit already this week. That's the second fireable offense from the coaching staff. The number one thing is that Cam Ward needs to show development. And the number 2 thing is if the offensive line is an issue in year 2 of Bill Callahan, there is a big problem because that will be a cause for Cam Ward having problems. And that's an issue that Bill Callahan was hired to fix. And you'll be in year 2. Year 1 had a lot of leftover parts, some of which he overestimated when he told them about, I could do something with this guy probably, starting with NPF. But if now with this degree of turnover and these investments from Latham to the $20 million average for Dan Moore, if things don't get substantially better there, that's a federal issue for this team going on what? 4 or 5
This will be the 4th
years?
year.
Yeah. 4th year of a bet. Yeah. And when they hired Brian Callahan, obviously you're excited about the quarterback hopes and the quarterback background, but Bill Callahan coming in was a huge, wow, what a bonus that would be. And to me, right now, as you look at Brian Callahan, however of a hot seat he actually is on, that's got to be one of the biggest arguments against him being on a hot seat, right? It's like, you do have one of the great offensive line coaches here, but yeah, I'm like, if this year, if you don't see that start to manifest in the play, I don't know what that means.
He also, I mean,
not good for Brian.
If he got fired, he'd be a hot commodity right away, based on overall body of work, not based on 2 bad years. Is Cam Ward a quarterback that can make the offensive line better? It goes both ways. The offensive line can make the quarterback better, but the quarterback can also contribute to making the offensive line better.
Well, so can the receivers.
Yeah, by making, and Skoronski had a great line about this when he talked on Thursday about, like, hey, I've watched some Cam Ward, and this guy can get the ball out quick and make things go. But there are also times where you just say offensive line has to suck it up. He's going to hold on to it, and O-line be damned. He's going to make some things happen that require us to just suffer the consequences of him holding on to the ball, which was, I thought, great perspective from Skoronski, who I like a lot in terms of being able to contextualize offensive line stuff. And that's kind of the right attitude. Like most of the time, this looks like a quarterback who's going to get rid of the ball on time. He's a quick decision maker and all of that. Some of the time, he's going to put us at risk because he can scramble around back there, hopefully in a more efficient manner or a more consistently efficient manner than sometimes was the case at Miami, and give us the kind of big plays that are the wow plays that change the face of an offense.
Well, like, you know, in a perfect world, you get both. You get good quarterback play from Cam Ward immediately, and you get, you know, highly elevated offensive line play from where they were. But, I mean, Cam Ward's a rookie. He's stepping into the NFL for the first time. It's probably going to be a little bumpy. Like, it's probably going to be up and down with the way that he plays. But how much better can this offense be if the offensive line is just average? Like, that's all I'm asking for. Get to average.
This is my other thing. No slow start here. No, like, hey,
Exactly.
you know, we're gelling and we need time. Latham and Skoronski will have been in this for a year. Skoronski talked about, like, it's not new to me. I know what to expect, all of that. Those two guys should be ready to go. It's not an adjustment. Zeitler and
Latham is switching positions.
yes, but Zeitler and Moore are big-time veteran guys who should be able to come in and to adjust to whatever's thrown at them based on the fact that they're I mean, Zeitler's been around. He's been in multiple systems, right? He should know what he's doing. Moore's been in one system, but he's being paid the big bucks. You don't get to come in and say, I need adjustment time here. This is I
need half a
complex
season.
for me. Cushionberry was in it for half of a season. He was going through the adjustment thing too, but he too should be ready. And these other guys, they've backfilled the roster now with other guys, Blake Hance, Mustafa at center. These guys have to pick it up quicker than last year's guys behind the thing. And a guy like Jalen Duncan, you know, you got one last chance to show that you can be part of the backup pool here, or there should be a quick hook for you with better alternatives.
Yeah, backup sounds about right there and preferred. So I overreacted and word parsed on the Callahan stuff last week. I'd like to get your reaction because I feel like every chance he got, he was like pumping up Zeitler, but then with Dan Moore, I was like, yeah, then we got Dan Moore too. We got him also. Again, I may be overreacting.
Did he do what he did? Well, it wasn't him. It was Borgonzi with Levis. Levis is a quarterback on our roster in the room where the quarterbacks gather.
Levis
wears
is
number
a man.
8. Yes.
He is a man in the
Human
world.
man.
He and Travis Hunter will change the world.
Yes, together.
Yeah, I don't know. I probably was reading too much into it, but he certainly seemed excited about Zeitler. I wanted to hear more excitement about Dan Moore.
Well, it's interesting that he would have had that level of excitement about Zeitler because Skoronski revealed that Zeitler is not on site, was not on site for phase 1 of OTAs. He was participating virtually. So
he looks awesome on Zoom.
Say what you will.
His pass sets are unbelievable.
Yeah.
On Zoom.
All I can see is his face as he grunts, but it looks like he's really doing great with his technique there.
Now, he's a veteran and he's experienced and everything. And, you know, guys don't have to be here, but I would be more excited if the guy felt compelled to be, and I don't know what's going on in his life, but I'd be more excited if he felt compelled to be around from the very beginning because it's new.
Got a question. Can we ask the question for George
Sure.
from Murfreesboro?
Georgie.
I didn't see the
We
question.
stopped. We used to give are we still giving a reward for like the best question for PK? We just kind of
That died on the vine.
just sort of a reward is that we read your question. How about that?
I guess so.
What
What
a
a reward that is.
Yeah. I'll read it. I'll try to read it, with like really stately manner. George from Murfreesboro said, Paul, who were the scouts that spoke after the draft when Jerry got mad? You told him to read a media guide, even though none of us knew who they were.
You read that stately? You read that exactly the way that you were
That was
reading
stately?
things before.
Yeah, that wasn't stately.
There was no
enough.
state. You want to try again? Be
No,
more,
Your
be
James
more-
Gladstone voice.
I
Be
don't
more
wanna try again.
Washingtonian in
Yeah,
your
just answer the damn question,
reading.
okay?
Sam Somerville is a national scout who they have 2 national scouts. One covers half of the country and the other covers the other half of the country. They're kind of the cross-checking scouts. And so he spoke especially well. I really enjoyed it, and I leaned a whole story on him. Mike Boney is the other senior national scout.
Do you feel like the Titans?
It was good that they sent them out. I thought they were good.
Like, do you feel like the Titans did a better job with that and with everything they did in in sort of explaining themselves after
I
this
thought
draft?
they did well in explaining themselves, but they also kind of killed two birds with one stone. Like they don't have to make the scouts available, so that was nice, and we got a better mix of voices in our content. But they're also obligated at some point to make somebody like McKenzie or like Ziegler available, and so they knocked that out like in that way, which is better, frankly, than just saying, "Oh, today instead of Brinker, we're going to throw one of these assistant general manager types up here," and then you don't really have like it's a semi-surprise and you don't have anything to ask them. These guys were answering questions in the flow of picks, and then we asked a lot of process stuff at the same time. So I thought it worked very well.
I got one text,
and they were all good.
Got one texter that says, PK, with the Titans basically putting it all on line by declining the Giants trade for Ward, what do you think they could possibly see in him that makes them believe he's worth 4 picks? Is it because he came from nothing and made it the hard way, so they believe that he'll thrive under the pressure and adversity in the NFL? This from an unnamed texter.
It's not complicated. They think he's a franchise quarterback. And if he is a franchise quarterback, he is worth 4 picks.
Yeah.
I mean, look at any quarterback in the league that you would call a franchise quarterback and tell me if you would trade him for another first rounder and 2 second rounders. And you'd be crazy to say yes, because what you'd be looking for out of those picks would be a franchise quarterback.
Exactly.
So the question is whether
Are they right?
Whether you believe that he's a franchise quarterback.
We'll find out if they're right, but yeah.
Right.
I mean, look,
it's not an unreasonable stance by them.
I don't think their reasoning is flawed there. Like I've said it for a long time. If you believe that whatever your evaluation is on these quarterback and you come through it and you think that they're a franchise quarterback, I don't care what somebody else offers. Like that's the way I view it. It's so important to get that right that if that's the way they feel, then great. And now the question is, okay, well, are they right?
And then the 2 follow-up questions are, how much convincing of yourselves did you do outwardly?
Right.
And then the second question is, how much convincing of yourselves did you do like on a psychological level? Like, we have this pick. This is the best guy.
Right.
We have this need, and this is how it works.
Yeah. And then if that's the case, if you had to do a lot of it, that's where I get into, boy,
Could
those
be in some
picks
trouble.
look kind of good, don't they?
Right. Exactly. 615-737-1025, our phone number. More with Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharsky.com on all things Tennessee Titans. Robby and Rexrode, 1025-1063, The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Got a 4-pack of tickets to give away to the Sounds, taking on Norfolk at First Horizon Park tomorrow. First pitch at 6:35. Be caller 5, 615-737-1025. Caller 5 will win a 4-pack of tickets to the Sounds game coming up tomorrow at First Horizon Park. Robby and Rexrode brought to you by First Horizon. Big bank muscle, small bank hustle. Visit firsthorizon.com/get-it-all. Taking your thoughts and questions for PK. I got one text that says, PK, are you able to break any uniform update news? As Warren Moon keeps trying to throw things out there.
Yeah, I only did it in a mention, but the fact that Kay Adams was like, breaking, Warren Moon says this, and Warren Moon said the exact same thing at the spillover at the press conference where he gave Cam Ward number 1. I mean, they're not sharing, and then people are like, well, what are the details? What are the details? And I said, well, as Warren Moon shared what Warren Moon knows, and there are no further details.
Well, and by the way, I saw, Jimmy White did a mailbag yesterday, and somebody asked him about the uniforms. They're not happening this year. So, clearing up any confusion, Warren Moon did kind of make it sound like with Kay Adams that they are happening this year, and they're not. No. It's not happening this year.
So it's probably next year.
The process takes a long time. I think it's probably
Stadium Open.
Stadium Open. My guess, I think semi-educated guess from the way Moon talked, is that they are Oiler-like jerseys, in that they're not going to ever go to throwbacks because they're not going to need to go to throwbacks because they're a lot like the Oilers.
Well, and that's kind of what the Titans release said too, right?
Well, when they went to the light blue as the primary color, that takes part of the intrigue of wearing Oiler blue away. And now they move further toward that. I mean, do we consider this uniform change a failure?
Yes.
Robby hates them.
I've
Robby
hated
thinks
them from
they're
the
the worst
jump.
uniforms in sports.
They're awful.
I don't think I think some of them are bad. I don't like the navy. I actually have always liked the lighter blue. I think the lighter blue. I think the road stormtroopers are good, and the lighter blue are good. But they're not great. I mean, they could be better. I say just go with the freaking Oilers uniforms. What the hell? I mean,
I'm kind of with you.
I mean, there's plenty of like the Utah Jazz. Like no one's ever listened to jazz still in the state of Utah ever. Who cares?
No, I would be in favor of wearing the Oilers uniform. Then the question is about the logo. Do you stick with the flaming thumbtack, or there are a lot of fans who would prefer a move to the sword. I think the sword is also kind of cartoonishly dated. So I don't know. But the thing about that logo, I talked to Amy about this one time when we were talking about the initial just chit-chatting on the sideline of this used to happen, chit-chatting on the sideline of a training camp practice.
Back in the good old days.
Yeah. It's hard to believe.
Simpler time.
But I said something about the potential for a logo change, and she said something about we just spent a lot of money to put that logo on the ceiling in the locker room. So there was like a commitment.
It can be like retro now.
Commitment to the logo,
By the way, the Los Angeles Lakers, there's not anyone in Los Angeles who's a Laker. That used to be the Minneapolis Lakers, because there's a bunch of lakes up there. No one gives a crap.
See, this would be a
just bring the oil derrick back.
This would be a big step back, Joe. It's not that all those things are not true. It's that when the team got here,
no, I know,
in '97,
still calling the Titans, use the Oilers uniforms. What's wrong with that?
Well,
I'm cool with it.
They're awesome uniforms.
There would be a faction of people that would shred that for whatever
faction
reason.
of people bitch about everything.
I understand, but you have to remember, like when they got here, it was so universally hated, the idea of them being the Oilers, and there was such demand for a new name. Now, 30 years later, can you say, all right, we gave you the new name? And I don't know. I would just view it as an identity crisis. Like, all right, you came here, you laid down 30 years of history as the Titans, and now you're going to be the Oilers again?
No, again, I'm not saying you're called the Oilers, and not at all. I'm just saying the uniforms look awesome, so use those and still be the Titans.
Okay, so you're the Titans, except you have an oil derrick on your head. What is? Who are you?
I mean, there's a bunch of uniforms.
Would have been better when they had Derrick Henry on the team.
I mean, I would do a skit right away where I would put somebody on the couch and have a shrink saying, "Well, what is it?
Tennessee
Titan,
Derricks.
Oiler?
It's the Derricks. Be the Derricks.
Very important name. Minister of the franchise.
The Derricks, yeah.
How are we feeling about inside linebacker right now? You've got the Cody Barton move that took place, who has played for Denver, Washington, and Seattle, respectively, in the last 3 years.
Self-made man.
Got over 100 tackles in each of those years, so there is that. But
upgrade over Kenneth Murray in terms of instinctual play, I would say. Need him healthy because the depth there is poor. Didn't do anything at the other spot. Don't believe in spending money or draft capital there any more than they have spent. And they need Cedric Gray or James Williams or more of a long shot, Otis Reese, to step up and take that other spot. It's a 2-down spot, sometimes not even that. And that's a place where people on the roster have to step up and take it.
If Cedric Gray just never emerges at all, I assume that everybody can blame that on Rand. But if he becomes good, then we can credit Brinker, right? Is that how it works?
No, Brinker doesn't get any. I mean, those two draft. The first draft is really mostly Vrabel, though there was some consensus on some stuff like Levis. The second draft is Rand.
So Chad's cool. Paul takes all responsibility off the plate of Chad. Shocking.
I mean, he wasn't making draft decisions.
How about this year?
He wasn't making draft decisions in part, I think, because he was letting Rand cook and hang himself.
And then this year, I mean, they had to figure out, are we doing eggshell white in the meeting rooms? Or are we hold on, guys. I know you got a draft conversation. We got important stuff going on in here.
In no way am I disagreeing with the idea that the structure is unconventional, unnecessary, and that the idea that the Titans are going to be at the cutting edge of some new organizational success story is bewildering and outrageous.
Good words. You used so many of your words right there.
That was Ivy League right there.
That was,
that
right?
was good. That was real good.
Clip that.
That's right.
Clip that. Send that out as the clip promoting the 3 hour, the hour and a half of the show.
That's right. I mean, hey,
brilliant.
Brinker spends some time, as he said at his press conference before the draft, spend some time looking around the room and says, man, we got a lot of Super Bowls in here. A lot of Super Bowls that we've won. Borgonzi's won Super Bowls. I've won Super Bowls. Look at these guys.
Also, Reggie. How awesome is Reggie?
Reggie!
By in here, he was not speaking literally. He was not looking at Lombardi trophies in here.
Look at all the trophies in this.
Maybe he asked guys to wear their rings that day to have them be in here.
There you go.
Or maybe he was just imagining the rings, but in here was used in a unique way.
Very figurative way.
I mean, if anybody could explain to us what he's thinking, it would be Paul.
Oh yeah, I'm in the
plugged in.
I'm in his brain.
We got more of your questions for PK to get to on the Titans front.
Plugged in,
next.
literally.
This is Robby and Rexrode.
Could Jill Jelnick get any more pub on her Game Changers?
It's impressive.
Let's go, Jill.
Shout out, Jill.
Fox
Let's go. Shout out, Jill Jelnick.
We'll have more coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Final segment of the day, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3. The game. Paul Kuharski with us here on the program. Robby and Rexrode brought to you by First Horizon, Big Bank Muscle, Small Bank Hustle. Visit firsthorizon.com/get it all. Live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership with a buzz is always about great service. The Jags have released wide receiver Gabe Davis, who last year signed a 3-year, $39 million deal, and I believe $24 million of it was guaranteed, and they got one season out of Gabe Davis.
With
and now
20 catches.
$20 million dead money, Joe looked up. So they now have Brian Thomas, who's excellent, Travis Hunter, who they're optimistic about, but I think all three of us think he's a better quarterback. Diami Brown, those are their 3 starting wide receivers. Their 4th wide receiver is Parker Washington. And after that, Josh Cephas and a bunch of guys I've never heard of. I mean, Gabe Davis, a locker room terror or something?
Well, he just didn't do anything, right?
Yeah, but still, why do you I mean, you're paying him the rest of the guarantee.
Yeah.
And you're taking a $20 million dead money hit. I don't understand why you wouldn't just keep him.
Only played 10 games last year, but as Ian said, only 20 catches. So 20 catches, 239, and 2 touchdowns for Gabe Davis. The number. We're already getting questions on the text line about whether or not the Titans should sign him.
They say he was due $12.5 million cash this season. So maybe
that's it.
Yeah,
that's it. That's more reasonable. Titans don't have room. I don't think now. I mean, they've got people that they expect to go forward and fill roles and take roles. I don't think they need. If Gabe Davis was an edge, absolutely.
Well, and I think with Gabe Davis, what we've seen now is, and look, in Buffalo, basically he was the deep
vertical guy,
and he made some plays, but he's not the receiver Jacksonville thought they were getting. So I'd probably stay away.
He ran a 4.54, and the Titans are definitely getting faster. So, I mean, that's a while ago, but that's still a reference point, right? And they're trending faster than that outside of an undrafted free agent that everybody thinks is going to hopscotch 5 people into the starting lineup.
What did you make of Tyler Lockett's introductory press conference, and did he shake your hand as well?
I was not there.
I
messed up. But he shook everybody's hand, and he was phenomenal, and he's going to be very quickly a top 3 guy in that locker room. One thing about
you and he are going to have a secret handshake. It's
going back to Restrepo. Here's one of the things that nobody is connecting on Restrepo, and I talked about this, I think, with Braden Gall earlier in the week. Cam Ward's not going to be throwing to Restrepo. Restrepo is
during the reps,
4th string wide receiver, and Cam Ward is 1st string quarterback.
That Levis Restrepo connection is going to be nice.
Boyle Restrepo.
Boyle Restrepo. Oh my goodness, terrorizing the league. Yeah, I like him to make the team. I'm calling my shot. Speaking of
at whose
calling
expense?
shots,
next week let's do the exercise where you give me
next
the wide
week.
receiving.
I've gone through the room. He's like the 6th guy to me, but
he's Mason Kinsey.
Yeah, but he'll be better than him. So a couple questions. One, draft related for you on the text line. One is we've talked about it before, but how influential was Amy in the picking of Cam? But also, this question is: if Borgonzi was truly calling the shots on the draft, why not let him do the post-draft presser by himself?
I just feel like Brinker knows that he is viewed because he has final say. I think if he's not there, everybody says, Where's the guy with the final say? Why is he hiding? Right. So he's kind of in a
say on drapes. What are we talking about?
Well, his final say on everything. Right.
Everything. Yeah.
Well, he's the head of the football. He's the head of the football operation. So I think it's a good question, but I think if you flip it and he's not there, then you say, well, the guy with the final say is not there to answer. And you want the guy with the final say to ultimately be available to answer questions. But I think Borgonzi did most of the talking at that. And I was directing my questions about not process, but about players to Borgonzi.
It's quite a setup they got going over there.
Cue up what I said before, Ian. Put that on the put that out there for availability.
I smoke weed constantly.
That's still my favorite drop
Out
of
of
yours.
See, but that was a different voice.
Have never touched the stuff. Yeah, that was like a
Well,
guy.
that was actually trying to
guy that
sound like
just-
you.
That was a guy that just had a stroke. Every attempt
Which
Every
is
attempt
why
to
he smokes
sound like
weed.
me. I smoke weed constantly. That's
Play it.
that's me
There you go.
imitating you, imitating
smoke
me
weed.
poorly, constantly.
I mean, am I wrong?
Was I slurring?
What were we talking about when he
I-
said that? I think it
I
was
was
Isaiah
thinking-
Wilson, right?
Yeah, or Pac-Man Jones.
I made a joke about PK's cannabis habits, and then
I have no
and
cannabis.
then he
habit.
sarcastically said that, and now we have it as a drop. It's a
I think
beautiful
it was
thing.
Isaiah Wilson. I think it was about his
Probably.
Twitter account. It was like, here's what it should be.
I mean, in this day and age, people
Lazy
are
panda.
in this day and age, people are very comfortable talking about their habits. And I have no I've never touched the stuff in my life. I'm scared to death of it.
You have a glass of
He's a
wine.
habitual line stepper.
Yes.
What is that from?
Somebody wondering if PK is going to make Tyler Lockett get a hostage video proof that he shook his hand, a la Arden Key a year ago.
Arden Key. How
Hi,
I love Paul
Paul.
Kuharsk from Paul Kuharsk.
Arden Key spoke freely and willingly and I dare mention lovingly.
Lovingly. Yes.
I'm just very I'm the next round for Arden Key. Last year when the coaching staff first showed up, it was like, well, glad these guys are here because last coach staff just didn't make any adjustments
Yeah,
whatsoever.
These guys actually correct
And it
things.
circled all the way down, like by
We
the
don't
end of
leave
the
the
year.
field.
If you recall, by the end of the year, he's like, "Yeah, we're just not making a whole lot of adjustments." I said, what's going on? Is that Arden Key's go-to? So I'm interested. Arden Key's thoughts in OTAs and camp here. How the adjustments are going out there with the coaching staff.
Yeah.
Denard, step your game up.
That Denard Walker really needs us to pick it up
Yeah.
here per PK. Mike Vrabel's burner says, I've never touched this up, quote unquote. Oh, we can tell, PK. No one needs a little pot like someone who says that.
Denard Walker. Denard Walker's burner or Denard Wilson's burner?
No, this is Mike Vrabel's burner.
Or Mike Vrabel's
Yeah.
burner? Well, he's burning. We know that.
Maybe if you took a puff, you'd get his name right.
He hadn't made that
Probably
mistake in
not.
a while.
Listen, if you witnessed him not making a play against Isaac Bruce in the
Yeah.
Super Bowl and losing the game,
You never
it would
forget
it would stick in your brain as well. But you were in a crib in Detroit.
PK, who's
God,
the
I
starting
wish.
quarterback? Who's the starting quarterback for Indianapolis Week 1? Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson?
Yeah, I heard your arguments for Richardson, and they're hard to argue against. But it's conceivable that he's so bad in the preseason, completing 47.7% of his passes, that they have no choice but to go with Daniel Jones. I have no faith in Anthony Richardson.
I don't either.
Saving his career, I think, is an atrocious pick by an organization that's tumbling, and that he and his bosses will all be unemployed after this season.
You sure?
Chris Ballard.
I mean, Chris
got some
Ballard
staying
is
power.
Teflon GM.
Unbelievable. He was hired the year after J-Rob.
Yeah.
Some
Around-
staying power.
And has
Long
been called the
time.
greatest GM in the NFL multiple times for reasons I still don't quite
Yeah,
comprehend.
greatest source and greatest GM are two different things, but they don't differentiate in all in.
Ah.
PK, thank you, sir.
Thank you, boys. Don't block the box, but be sure to lock your locks.
Jason Big Joe up next. You're listening to 102.5, 106.3 The Game.